Welcome back, everyone, to the 5 p.m. podcast. I'm Tina, and as always, I'm here with Dan, ready to dive into another fascinating topic.
Hey, Tina. And hey, everyone. Episode 50. Can you believe it? We've got a good one today. Something that's been all over the news and, frankly, kind of stressing people out. This idea that we're in a recession, even though the numbers, well, they tell a different story.
Exactly. We're talking about this weird disconnect between how people feel about the economy and what the official economic indicators are actually saying. It's like half of Canada and the U.S. think we're in a recession, right?
Yeah, 50% in Canada and 51% in the States, according to a recent Leger poll. That's a lot of people. But then you look at, say, the unemployment rate, 6.6% in Canada, and it is in that area. And traditionally, that's not a recession number.
Right, it's not, like, double digits or anything. So what's going on? Why is everyone so convinced we're in the economic dumps?
Well, I think a huge part of it is the constant threat of these tariffs from the U.S. It's like this looming cloud hanging over everything. The Canadian Chamber of Commerce did this analysis, and they're saying these proposed tariffs could shrink Canada's economy by, get this, $78 times a billion.
78 billion? That's a scary number. So even if we're not technically in a recession right now, that kind of threat makes people feel like we're heading straight for one.
Precisely. It creates this sense of impending doom. And it's not just the tariffs themselves, it's the uncertainty. Businesses don't know what to expect, so they're hesitant to invest. Maybe they hold off on hiring. It has this ripple effect.
And that makes sense. It's like you're constantly waiting for the other shoe to drop. So even if things are okay, times now asterisk, you're bracing for impact.
And here's another interesting angle. We talked to Sébastien Dallaire from Leger, and he pointed out something really insightful. He said Canada's social safety net, things like employment insurance, social assistance, they actually create a bit of a buffer in how people perceive the economy.
Oh, that's interesting. So because we have these support systems, even if people are worried, they might feel a little more cushioned?
Exactly. It's like, okay, things might be tough, but there's a safety net there. Whereas in the U.S., where those systems are, let's say, less comprehensive, that anxiety might be amplified.
That's a really good point. It's not just about the raw numbers, it's about how secure people feel. And if you don't feel like there's a safety net, any economic wobble is going to feel a lot scarier.
And we see that reflected in some of the other data. Like 54% of Canadians reported feeling like they were on relatively solid financial footing, compared to only 41% of Americans. That's a significant difference.
Wow. So even with all the economic uncertainty, Canadians, on average, feel a bit more resilient.
Right. And then you have Robert Kapchich, a senior economist at BMO, and he's saying, look, the economy could still grow, unless these tariffs really hit hard. So it's this big if.
It's a waiting game then. And in the meantime, people are worried about their jobs. The poll showed 39% of the workforce is afraid of losing their job, which is way higher than the actual unemployment rate.
Yeah, that fear is definitely outpacing the reality, at least for now. And a lot of people are living paycheck to paycheck. 46% in Canada, and a whopping 59% in the U.S. So any little disruption can feel catastrophic.
And then you add inflation on top of that. People are feeling the squeeze, even if inflation isn't, skyrocketing.
It is that times perception times again. It's like, even if the official inflation rate is moderate, if people feel like everything is getting more expensive, that contributes to that overall sense of economic anxiety.
So it's this perfect storm, really. Tariff threats, job insecurity, the rising cost of living. It all adds up to this feeling of being on shaky ground, even if the official economic data isn't screaming recession.
Exactly. It's a complex interplay of factors, and it highlights how important it is to look beyond just the headline numbers and really understand the asterisk lived experience times of people.
And maybe it's a reminder that economic policy needs to consider not just the data, but also the asterisk psychology of the economy. How do we build confidence and resilience, even in the face of uncertainty?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And something we'll definitely be exploring more in future episodes. Thanks for joining this discussion, Tina. And thanks to all of you for listening.
Of course. Thanks, Dan. And don't forget to subscribe so you never miss out on the next episode. See you next time on the 5 p.m. podcast.